So let us discuss the present worth formula once again. So take note that at the present period, this is actually the benchmark. 0 represents the beginning of the period. Then 1 is actually divisible by 1 year. So let me complete once again this diagram. In that way, we can actually see the relation of these projected diagrams in our study. So the economic life of our building is projected for 20 years period. So 0 is actually the beginning of the period. Then we need to consider here the income. So the income here is in terms of the rent, which is actually equivalent to 3,240,000 pesos. And we also have an income in land or lot because it is also being rented, which is actually equivalent to 80,347.96 pesos. Now, to sum up the total annual revenue or income, it is equivalent to 3,320,347 pesos, 96 pesos. So from here, you could see that the annual income, so all arrows are actually pointing upward. So because our annual income is already the same as all throughout, this is now what we call annuity. We have 3,320,347.96 from the beginning of the period or first year up to the 20th year. Now, let us also look at the total annual cost. So this is now what you call the present worth. For the total annual worth, so take note that our diagram here, once again, all arrows are actually pointing downward. So from the beginning of the period for 1 year, all throughout till 20th year. So from the beginning up to the 20th year, we have so for the upkeep, we have $1,250,000. Then for the tax, we have 120,000. For the insurance, we have 35,000. For the salaries, we have 385,000. Take note, I would like you to carefully take note of that under the present worth formula, depreciation or D is actually not included as part of this study, because here we are actually using the present worth formula. So therefore, to sum up the total cost of the investment, we have 1,790,000 pesos. So meaning, still, this is annuity. It is constant from the beginning or from 1 year up to the 20th year, which is actually equivalent to 1,790,000 pesos. Now, we are going to weigh the inflow against the outflow. So for the cash inflow, as what we have discussed a while ago, that we are actually using two formulas to compute for the cash inflow. Now, take note that for the present worth formula, A is actually the annuity. So that is why we have here 3,320,347.96. Then you need to multiply this by 1 plus the interest raised to the number of years, which is actually 20 years. Then divide it by 1, the interest times 1 plus the interest raised over the number of years. So this is especially true for the annuity. Now for the second formula, which is actually you're going to project here the future's worth of the investment. Now the formula here is F times 1 plus I raised over negative n. Negative n because we need to project it once again backward or at present time. So it was actually being projected a future, but because of this 20 year, you need to present it backward. That is why the symbol here is minus. So here, we were able to compute the annuity because letter P, or the present worth, is actually 3 million. $320,000, $347.96. Then multiply it by 1 plus 0.20, which is actually the number of years, minus 1. Then divide this by the interest, which is actually 0.20, times 1 times the interest, which is actually 0.20, over 20 years period. So this is the first formula that we have used. Then the second formula, which is actually the futures worth of your investment after 20 years, which is actually 22 million. Then you need to multiply it by 1 plus the interest, which is actually 0.20 minus 20 years. So we were able to solve for the inflow or the income or the cash inflow is equivalent to 60,742,548.30 pesos. So this is how we were able to utilize this very important formula, meaning there are only two main equations for this type of problem. Against the cash outflow. So for the cash outflow, once again, we need to determine what are the different formulas needed for this type of problem. Now, for the second formula for the cash outflow, so take note, the present value is actually the at the beginning of the period. So what is this present value? It is actually being benchmarked at this diagram. So take note that at present value, 0 is the beginning. So the investor needs to invest into the lot at the beginning of the period, and so was the building. That is why it was already benchmarked at 0. That means this is the very beginning or the start of the investment. So take note that for the lot, it is worth 5 million, and for the building, it is worth 7 million. That's why we have 12 million as the beginning of its investment. That is why here PV therefore is 12 million. Now we need also to consider here the annuity once again. Okay, so the formula here is therefore we are using same formula as what was discussed a while ago. Now, annuity times 1 plus the interest and the number of years minus 1 divided by interest times 1 plus I raised to n. Therefore, for the present worth, all arrows that points downward involves cost. So if we're going to solve it here, we need to combine these two equations. So the present value of the cost therefore is PV plus your annuity in terms of the cost, 1 plus I raised all over n minus 1, then I times 1 plus I raised all over n. So take note that your present value of your investment is already 12 million, which is actually the cost of your land and your building. Then all throughout from the beginning or 1 year till it reaches the 20th year, the annuity. This is called already annuity. We have 1,790,000 pesos times 1 plus the interest, which is up to the 0.20 raised to 20th year minus 1. Then divide this one by the interest, which is up to the 0.20. Then multiply it by 1 plus 0.20 all over n. So that is why we have two working equations, or we have two formulas that is actually being applied here. So therefore, for the present worth, the total cost of the investment at present value is now 20,716,547.72 pesos. So all in all, we are going to once again consider here the how much is the net present worth cash flow. So for the net present worth, cash flow is, you need to determine here the inflow against the cost. So once again, here we have the cash inflow, which is actually equivalent to 16,742,548.30 minus the total cash outflow, which is actually equivalent to 20,716,000 pesos, 547.72. So therefore, the net present worth cash flow is negative 3,973,999.42 pesos. Because this one is negative, the business is actually losing. So the present worth is an effective tool to assess if business at present time is gaining or losing.